I have a dream, that's all I need. I'll make it happen with some work and belief. Know what I want, so I'll take it on. I've made mistakes, but mistakes make you strong.
Hi, I'm JB. In this video, I will talk about my Tesla journey and what I believe Tesla is worth now and what it will be worth in the future. So let's strap in and take a ride with Tesla. When I bought Tesla, I knew this was going to become a great company with a bright future. Actually, I bought Solar City back in the day. When Tesla bought Solar City, I suddenly became a Tesla investor. And what did I do? Well, I let my emotions win over my brain and I sold my entire position. Biggest mistake I ever made. Eventually, I bought back in. I waited for the Model 3 ramp, where the future was a little bit more secure. At that point, I could see a clear path to profitability and the future prospects. At this point, the numbers weren't perfect, as the company was not yet profitable, but I could see where it was going. Yes, I wish I had kept my original position, but it's still been good. These days, it's fairly simple to value Tesla and the possible gains in the future. However, Elon keeps starting new parts and new ventures and really adds value all the time. So we're just beginning. In my last video about how to value a stock, I used Tesla as an example and show how a $5,000 stock price in 2030, based on car sales alone, is quite possible. And that's where this video comes in. $5,000? Yeah, probably, but 2030 is a long way, and with all the new ventures, maybe we're looking at a $15,000 stock price, maybe even more. Let's look into it. People keep comparing Tesla to other auto manufacturers, not realizing that this is just the beginning of the game, the first inning, if you will. Yes, Tesla makes cars, but the way Tesla makes cars is vastly different from the old OEMs. GM, who of course are leading the EV revolution,
that by 2035, GM would be 100% electric. You changed the whole story, Mary, wherever you are. There you are. You did, Mary. You electrified the entire automobile industry. I'm serious. You led, and it matters.
They innovate, they automate, they refine the product all the time, with up to 27 changes in a month. The old OEMs maybe make 1-2 facelifts within a 6-year period. Yeah, you do the math. If we had to compare Tesla with an automaker, it should be Ford back in the day before the Model T, when Ford started the assembly line and used the manufacturing as leverage for the company. So I'm looking at Tesla as a kind of more like a smartphone company, you know, when back in the day when Nokia and all the others, they had a good product, it was working, wasn't too much gain on it, but it was there and it was good. All of a sudden Apple comes up with a smartphone with regular updates. Who needs that? What a lot of people are unable to see is the trajectory, the exponential growth. A lot of people compare Tesla to other companies with slow growth or maybe even no growth at all. And they don't realize the exponential growth, the ketchup effect, if you will. And when FSD comes to fruition, it's exactly the same we saw when people switched from horses to cars. The majority could not see the downstream effects of this transition and did not realize that all the obstacles were actually great opportunities for people and companies to become so much better, so much faster. There's a quote often said by Henry Ford: "If I had asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses." Actually, it was not Mr. Ford who said it, but it illustrates the company quite well. People don't know what they need or what they want until you give them an opportunity. The same with the iPhone. When Steve Jobs came with the iPhone, people were perfectly happy with the products they had. They didn't realize what they could get, what was the possibility. Exactly the same with Tesla. A car that can drive you anywhere you want? Consider that. Back when we switched from horses to cars, there were exact the same types of objections that we have now. Where are we going to get gas? There's not enough gas station. We can only drive around in the big cities. Well, today the problem is Where are all the chargers? We need more chargers. We can't drive that far. Another one is a fun one. The range of a car is too low. The car can't drive very far. We would need a car that can drive all day on one tank of gas. Exactly the same with the EVs now. EV range is too short. We need to drive at least for 6-8 hours straight without charging. Really? Seriously? Oh, now we need roads that can handle the traffic. We need to make all new roads everywhere for these new cars. And now with the EV, oh, the power grid can't handle all those cars charging at the same time. Problem. A car needs a driver, as we can't all learn how to drive. They're too complex. And now, a car will never be able to drive without human intervention. That's not possible. Gasoline is dangerous and a fire hazard. Oh, we're all gonna burn down. Huge amounts of batteries in cars are a fire hazard. Oh, okay. Well, that brings me to Elon's vision. And remember, Elon looks at least 10 years ahead of everyone else, maybe even 20 years. I think Elon Musk has done the math, looking at the end result and worked his way back from there. He sees a future where there is less congestion. He knows that tunnels will alleviate this problem. The tunnels would require cars that doesn't emit anything. It would need to be an EV. No fires in a small tube could be accepted. No exhaust gas in a tube, and so on. These will only work if people are not driving, as humans are actually terrible drivers. I mean, driving autonomous into a city and from there going into a tunnel which ends somewhere close to your destination? Interesting. Car would drop you off and find a parking space in an underground structure with automated charging? Yeah, that's a good idea. So, what would be needed for this? The EV, first, the car, which would require batteries. Some cost-effective way of charging these EVs, solar, batteries. Full self-driving, or at least good enough for the part before the tunnel, would probably require some kind of AI. At least I think he realized that later on. And of course the tunnels, requiring the physical machine and the tunneling. And when I think of Elon's thought process, he would kind of think, well, the tunnels, not such a big problem. Full self-driving, pretty straightforward. It's a software problem. Solar and batteries, pretty simple. That was Solar City. And the EVs, yeah, that was the Tesla part. Of course, there's a lot more parts and variables, but I believe this was kind of Elon's back-of-the-napkin headlines. Now, he needed to dive into each one of these and put a timeline on them, as they're all mutually dependent on each other, at least in some way. Start with cars. Check. Biggest problem here being the materials and batteries. Get solar and battery storage. Check. Still, batteries are the issue. Make tunnels. Check. On the way. This one is the easy one. Full self-driving. Not yet. Here I believe Elon has underestimated this problem greatly and has realized that it would require AI to solve the problem. But again, it's a problem that can be solved and it will be solved. And with that, it will also become one of the greatest evolutions since the car. Imagine, you would never need to own a car with all those worries, problem, expenses that comes with it. No more. Yes, there's also a lot of freedom with a car, but as I said in another video, we are almost there in Denmark now, at least in the major cities. In Denmark, we have some companies that have made a great car service. I use one of them called Share Now, where you can rent a car for a certain amount of time. It can be for a single trip, for a specific time, or maybe days, weeks, months. It's super flexible. You can leave the car almost anywhere within the limits of the agreement. Usually it's within 20 miles of the city, or designated places outside the city, usually near hospitals, schools, or train stations, etc. You can see the cars in an app and decide what car you would like to use and for how long. The only two missing steps are that you have to get to the car. The car does not come to you. And you have to drive the car yourself. For now. This is extremely flexible and low cost. Costs around $40 for 3 hours of use. Why would you want to pay insurance, payments, tires, service, depreciation, all the other expenses connected to a car, when I just pay when I need a car? If I need a car for work, it takes me max 1 hour from my home to work, and I just dump the car outside work. When I need to get home, I check the app and see what car I would like to use and reserve it, and now I just have to get to the car. It's so flexible. Imagine those last steps were here today and there was enough cars to go around. Why would you want to own a car? It just sits in front of your home most of the time. And now with FSD, the car could be out making money for you. I believe that FSD will be ready for release in a couple of years, maybe 2025. And the next step with Cars Enough will definitely be before 2030. Just think what Tesla might be worth then. Let's take a look at that trajectory, and as I have realized, Tesla can become several trillion-dollar company with the car business alone. If we believe in Elon Musk's plan for the car production, he believes Tesla will reach around 20 million cars by 2030. I am not quite convinced about that. I have made my own calculations and what it might look like, and let's take a look at it here. Here we have the Elon Musk, the Tesla projection. In 2020, it was 509,000 cars. 2021, almost a million. 2022, 1.6. 2023, 2.6. You get the picture. 4, 5, 7, 10, 13, 16, 20 million in 2030. I kind of look at it another way because I look at the factories and say, what could Fremont possibly make? I mean, they would probably have to modernize Fremont around 2023, next year again, and the end product would be around 2 million cars. Austin is already set to be a max production at 2 million cars, and the same with Berlin. I believe Shanghai number 1 could reach the 2 million number 2, and the next Shanghai factory, which already is in the pipeline, would probably end there too. And then it would require 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 new gigafactories that each would ramp to 2 million cars by 2030. I gotta admit, I'm a little skeptic. I'm not quite convinced. But let's just say that would happen. Then revenue in 2030 would be around 740 billion. Profit would be around 259 billion. And that would give us a basic earnings per share of $232 per share. And if we use an estimated PE of 40, we get a share price at around $9,267. That's not so bad.
Absolutely.
We're in the money. We're in the money.
Yeah, share price of $9,267. And the prerequisite is average selling price for a car, $37,000. Which is probably a little bit low, and a profit margin of 35%. So let's take a look at my numbers instead. My numbers are a little bit more conservative and would say just the same, the 2020, 2021 numbers we know, and I keep the almost the same cadence, 1.6, 2.5, 3.3, so on, and I end up with around 14 million in 2030. I lower the profit per car to 25% and keep the average selling price of 37,000. This would give us around 518 billion in revenue and around 181 billion in profit. And again, earnings per share, $162, and with an estimated PE of 40, we have a share price of 6,487. And these are very conservative numbers for the car business alone. So when we take those numbers and just keep it low, and let's say cars, we just went through that, $181 billion profit. The subscription service, you pay for the premium connectivity, you pay for everything else, around 2.8. The energy business, Elon said several times it would be equal or greater than the auto business. Let's just set it at around 200 billion. And then the insurance. And I have factored in 0 for robo-taxis or full self-driving as a service. That would give us 388 billion in profit. That's 347 earnings per share. And with an estimated PE of 40, we get a share price at almost 14,000, 13,893. Pretty damn good. And remember, no Tesla bot, no full self-driving, no robo-taxis, no nothing, no HVAC, nothing. Just what we have today, except the energy business would be ramped up. So that's what my numbers would look like. Because I think Elon is always way too optimistic and there could be further delays, problems, etc. So I'm kind of saying my projections will be pretty close to reality. And hey, we can always be pleasantly surprised. Can you see why I think Tesla could be the greatest company on earth? What would happen if robo-taxis and autonomous cars took off? I think it will happen, and let's think about it. 80% of all personal transport would be done that way. I actually don't think people would be allowed to drive. When we remember we are so incredibly dangerous in the traffic. 90% of all trucking and deliveries, also autonomous. This is a massive business, the transport sector. And this is why Tesla is not taking any shortcuts like others with geofencing, LiDAR, radar and all that crap. Let's just listen to what Jason Daumer says. He's kind of a really good expert on AI and self-driving.
It's executing well.
Yeah.
Like even if there's no Tesla bot, even if there's no FSD, even if there's no, even if solar doesn't take off and energy doesn't take off, like it's a solid business. Like you can just take the stuff they're executing on really well and you can make an investment thesis, which in my opinion justifies where it's at right now and will continue to justify sort of improvements from here. And so now the question is, which of these free call options is the one that's gonna kind of pay off. Rob over at Tesla Daily, he likes to talk about the operating leverage that Tesla has, which is just it's crazy, the operating leverage that they have. And even people who just look at the numbers and just look backwards, they see that. And and if you extrapolate operating leverage forward from now, you get crazy numbers just without Tesla robot, without FSD,
exactly.
without
To get back to the question, is Tesla overvalued? No. In my opinion, definitely no. At this point in time, the valuations does not match the current profit and earnings, but the stock market is forward-looking and it's obvious that this growth is going to happen. This is why I won't sell any of my Tesla shares and I keep buying whenever I can. Oh, I kind of forgot, when Tesla opens up its supercharger network, it will also make a lot of money there. Here in Europe, we're running tests in a lot of countries, and it seems like all the people who try it from other manufacturers, they're really happy with the no-hassle approach, not needing 5 different apps or tokens to charge and remember the correct procedure and stuff. It's just plug and play, and it always works. Now, you saw my simple calculation with the car production. With that in mind, let's do a quick discounted cash flow valuation to see if it also gives us some kind of similar numbers. If I look at my own valuation, I can see that the free cash flow has been going up with a lot, 378, 158, 80%, and I'm guessing at least 50% increase next year. That would give us an average of 167%. I have plugged in the shares for Tesla, the current market cap, the current price, actually that's taking online. I have written the cash flow, free cash flow taken from the income statements. I have entered the earnings per share. I've entered the revenue. I've entered the earnings. And as you can see, it's a nice upward going curve with a pretty good rise every year. And if you look at the percentages, the revenue increased 50% on average. If you look at the earnings, they increased 175% on average. So having a 50% growth rate is not crazy. But let's just for fun part say, in the bull case, the first 5 years, I'm expecting growth rate of 70. And in the next 5 years, I am thinking about 60%. With a discount rate of 8, a PE of 40, that would give us a stock price of almost $10,000. What would the normal case be? Well, we know Elon says about 50% growth at least in the next 10 years. So let's go with 55, 45, 8% discount rate, and a 30 PE, that would give us a stock price of $3,242. Moving down to the bear case. Let's say Tesla only grows with 30% the next 5 years and 20% the next 5 years. And a PE of 25, that would give us a stock price of $580. With the probabilities put in, this would give us an average, a weighted price of almost $7,000 per share. And with a margin of safety of, let's just say, 20%, the share price could cost $5,471 and still be a good bargain. If we believe that the growth rate will be at least 50% for the next 10 years, just as Elon says, Tesla is seriously undervalued. And remember, this number I'm looking at right now, this is only the car business. There's no energy, there's no nothing, no Tesla bot, no full self-driving. Cars only. The current business earnings, the current cash flow. Don't take my word for it. Let's take a look at ARK Invest's latest Tesla valuation. Remember ARK? Kathy Wood and her company had a completely crazy valuation back in 2017, 2018, where she said Tesla would have a stock price of around $4,000. Man, are you kidding me? At that time, it was around $330. And remember, this is before the stock split. This means the current price of around $1,000 would equal a stock price of around $5,000. So again, Kathy was right. So, what's their newest valuation? Well, let's take a look. We go to ARK Invest's homepage and find their research paper. It's public, so everybody can go look at it. There's a nice spreadsheet, so you can play around with the numbers and see what your beliefs and what your numbers would equate to in stock price. So it's a pretty good sheet to work with. I'm not going deep in the weeds here. You can download the Excel yourself and play around with it. I have a link in the description for it, so check it out for yourself. But a quick recap. ARK's Monte Carlo simulations give a range from around $2,900 for the bear case to $5,800 per share for the bull case. And remember, this is for 2026. I'm looking at 2030. When ARK looks at 2030, their price target is around $22,000. Yes, you did not hear wrong. Over $20,000 per share. That's crazy, right? But remember, the last couple of times they predicted the value, they were right. And they will probably be right again. Maybe not exactly in 2030, but believe me, we're going to get there, and I'm guessing within 15 years. I'm definitely buying whenever Tesla dips below 900, but I'm having trouble with earning enough money in my day job to be able to buy more than one share every month. So, yeah, that's just how it goes. At this point, Tesla is over 80% of my complete public portfolio, and I'm quite okay with that. When I look at Tesla, I see a sleeping giant that just woke up and is in the first inning of the game, and they're about to make their first real home run with FSD coming online in around 2025. But let's hear it from Ron Barron, an OG Tesla investor who has the highest confidence in Tesla.
I wasn't crazy. I know I'm crazy, but they didn't want want to be responsible to people, and I didn't want people to say he's lost his mind. And even though I think for Tesla this is the very beginning of what they're doing. I mean, they just reported numbers a couple of days ago, and they said that they did 310,000 cars and so everyone's focused on this quarter for 310,000 cars. In 4 years. 3 years, they're going to be doing $1 million a quarter, not 310,000. A million cars a quarter. And if you go 10 years, they're going to be doing something like 5 million cars a quarter. So here you are doing 310,000 cars, and people saying a few thousand more, a few thousand less. I'm thinking about in 8 or 10 years, this is 20 million car company.
You expect to still be an investor in 8 to 10 years?
Yes. So I think we're going to make 3 or 4 or 5 times our money in the next 10 years in Tesla. And I think it's
from on top of the 20 that you've made.
And
I hope you got some value out of this, got to know my thought process and what I'm thinking with Tesla, and why I think Tesla is going to be the biggest company on earth in 5-6 years maybe. On that note, I will end this video and hope you got some value. If you wish to help me and the channel grow, please hit the like button and maybe even subscribe. Bye!
I have a dream, that's all I need. I'll make it happen with some work and belief. Know what I want, so I'll take it on. I've made mistakes, but mistakes make you strong. Let's break it down for a minute. I want the crown, I'm gon' get it. You hear me loud, man, I'm winning. Yeah, Charlie Sheen will be grinning. These ladies know that I'm sinning, and this is just the beginning. I'm closing in the ninth inning, there ain't no point in resisting.